Hey guys, let's turn on a louder microphone. My mic is loud. Doom, doom, my mic is loud. Hey guys. Oh my gosh, my face is emerged into my logo. That's not good. That can't be right. I read the instructions. It said, do not put your face in your logo. I remember that very clearly. Hey guys, this is Mark Teaches Music. I'm Mark Black. And let's see if that moved a little bit. This is Mark Teaches Music again, and I'm Mark Black, and this is to play and sing our Q&A. And listen, I am not a harmonica player. I love the harmonica, and I have several instruments that I do not teach. This is one of them. And the point is that I just love the way they sound so much that, you know, it's like I just had to kind of jump in there and do something with it. I'm talking about decades and decades ago. And so I'm just normally I tell my students don't ever apologize, not because we're so cool, it's because we're creating the beauty or toughness, or, you know, we're creating, musicians are creating this world. And if you jump in the middle of the world and say, nah, I suck, then you have destroyed the world you created. Whatever good you did, you messed it up. However, I do feel like that I have to make some sort of caveat to say, listen, I don't practice or play I play the harmonica once every 6 months for about 10 minutes. So, but it's just a wonderful instrument. And this is there. Just by the way, there's two kinds. This is a chromatic harmonica, as used by Stevie Wonder. Actually uses this in the silver version. And Toots Thielemans are two guys. That's the chromatic harmonica, which has the key of C and the key sharp right beside each other with this little guy. And then the other one is the marine band, or the blues harp, which is what you hear in blues and rock. And I have some of those over there too. And like I said, I don't really play them, or don't play them well, or don't play them much. But they're just so darn cool. How can you say no to that sound? And that harmonica sounds just so, whoa. So today is the 4th day of January. I can't believe we made it 2023. I want you to have fun and be awesome. How cool is that? Very cool. And this is episode 30 of To Play and Sing. And in this Q&A, I basically want to answer all your questions. And I know it sounds, well, I don't know what it sounds like, but I'm in a pretty good position to answer lots of questions. I love a lot of different musicians, and some of them would have Q&As and have excellent, answers and things. And so anyway, just want to point out, or just want to say that, done a lot of different things in a lot of different musical worlds. So anyway, ask me some questions about performing and practicing, and how to develop your skills, and how you and me affect how we play and sing and learn, and what we like and what we're satisfied with or not. And being in ensembles, all kinds of ensembles, rock ensembles, jazz ensembles. Haven't been in a blues band, or orchestras, concert bands. What a wonderful thing. If you're in a band, concert band now I'm talking about, you rock. And I don't think the music they're playing now is quite as good as it was back in my day. But nonetheless, concert band is so great. And there's a great site, by the way, Concert Bandland, if you want to .com, or as a channel on YouTube. Concert Bandland is a great place to just hear. Man, the guys in the turn of the century, the other century, 1900, 1910, 1920, 1930, 1940. These guys, a lot of guys were pretty straight up hardcore classical composers, and they thought, hey man, this is a great medium, short of the orchestra, not inferior to the orchestra, different set of instruments. And so a lot of those songs are just right up there with a lot of great classical pieces. Excellent songs. All right, so anyway, ask me your questions. Ask me a question like, well, why? I have a great question. This is not going to be today, but how do you recover from being sick? If you listen to the live stream 2 weeks ago, my gosh, I'm so sick. I'm going to drink some coffee right now just to kind of reward myself for harmonica playing. So anyway, okay. So I want you to jump right in and send me your questions right there. There's the live question font, or source, or blobs. And so send me your questions. Don't wait around. And really, there's no question too dumb to answer, or too silly, or too simple, or too advanced, thought about it, but what part does music play in society? That's not one of today's questions. But, from that, majestic, where does music come from, to what thickness strings should I use on my electric and versus my acoustic, or reeds, whatever. So anyway, and like I said already, this and that guy is a question right there, and I'm supposed to answer it. No way. No, I'm kidding. I am going to answer that question. But let's see. So what was I going to say? Yeah. So I reserved the right to say I don't know. So listen, if you like this, you need to subscribe. You need to like. You need to you need to click the bell for notifications, and you need to share this. And I can give you a Venmo link, and you just send me straight raw money. No, I'm kidding. Okay, so here's a question. This is a wild question. This is like an uncapsulated question. Here it is. What is the kind of guitar that's best to learn to play? Okay, this is everybody should listen to this answer. I taught about 1,000 guitar students, and I'm talking about private lessons, sitting with their big ugly faces in front of my face and saying, no, do it this way. So you should get the guitar, first off, that plays the kind of music that you like. I can't tell you how many, it's usually parents, but their kids comes in and he's like, man, I want to rock out. And the parent go and buy them a little classical guitar. And the kids say guitar, and it's like, this is never going to, you can't get that sound out of this guitar. So first off, the guitar that plays the kind of music that you like. And you think about all the kinds of music there is, and there's styles and there's purposes of music. And you think, well, what can my guitar do? Can my guitar make these sounds? Now, you can play metal and heavy aggressive rock on a classical, but you have a hard time making it work because the gig of the classical guitar is to be not soft, but pristine and elegant, and these good sounds that aren't found. So, second part, there's two parts to this answer. Number one, plays the kind of music that you like. Number two is, if you don't have a preference, get an acoustic. So there's three kinds of guitars, and here they are behind us, right there, right up there. Look at that. So there's electrics and acoustics and classicals, and both classicals and acoustics are not amplified as a part of their sound. They may be amplified to pick up the sound, but that's not their intention. So anyway, on these classical sounds, these acoustic sounds, classical and acoustic. The acoustic has got a steel string, just helping you identify these kinds of guitars. It has steel strings. Classical has nylon strings or gut strings, or they don't really have gut strings anymore, but polymer strings, and they are smaller and lighter. The acoustic is larger typically, and it has steel strings. It has a more aggressive sound. If you don't have a choice, get the acoustic. Two reasons. One is that the acoustic is it's easy for the acoustic to sound pretty aggressive. You'll hear a lot of blues, a lot of jazz. Jazz too, but a lot of blues, a lot of rock, pretty heavy rock will be on the acoustic, and you can make it sound pretty cool. So in other words, that's a good middle, whereas the classical is way over here, and it's really hard to pull it over to rock. The acoustic's kind of in the middle, and it's not very hard to pull it over into pretty strong aggressive sounds. That's one reason. The second reason, though, is that it is it's a middle difficulty. The electric is the easiest guitar to play. I'm talking about physically, just make sounds. And so if you use that to start with, it will be hard, particularly if you are a child or a young person, or you don't, not everybody has to want to be challenged. So if you maybe avoid challenges or something like that, it's not really the guitar to the electric I'm talking about. It's really, it's so easy to play, that you just like, dude, when you play another guitar, another kind of guitar, you kind of go like, wow, this is so hard, this other guitar. So anyway, so the main reason is for the acoustic, it's in the middle. This is for people who don't have a preference. Remember, the first thing, I'm just recap, what guitar should you play? You should play the guitar that plays the music you like. Most of you think about your music. Who I like this. I like, what are they playing? And then if either you got a lot of broad kinds of music you like, or you can't really decide, or you don't care, then get an acoustic, because it's can play it can play classical music very well. And I mean, a classical purist is going to go like, this is not correct. Of course, it's just like the metal guy is going to say to the acoustic, this is not correct. Oh, I'm playing the death metal, and this is not correct. He's going to say that for some reason with a French accent. Nobody knows why, but he's a Metallica, so that's the way they are. Anyway, so I'm saying that the acoustic guitar can go pretty good either way, more serious, more steady, more aggressive, more rocky. And then second one is it is medium difficulty. Therefore, when you play the electric from that, if you went to it, or the classical would be just a little bit harder, then you wouldn't be like, oh my gosh, this is so hard. You'd just be like, huh. And if you did electric, you'd be like, wow, it's so easy. So it's a very good in the middle. Okay. Thank you, Tom. I believe I've answered that correctly. Now, if anyone has any other questions, just don't drop them. Punt them. Punt your questions into this chat. And you might want to use the word chat, just so I know what's a chat. Okay, so all right, here's the next question. The next question is, how does the size of my hands affect my playing? And as I do every question, I'm going to expand that question. How does the size of my hands affect my playing? Well, of course, it dramatically affects your playing. Now, we're not talking about guitar. We're talking about guitar, bass, ukulele, mandolin, sax, flute, oboe, clarinet. We're talking about piano. What else do I play? I'm going to go ahead and expand it top to the brass. Actually, everything. I do not know. I'm not being smart aleck. I don't know. I love the harp. Don't know enough about the harp to say. I would assume you need. And here's, let me interrupt the list of instruments to say the ideal for every instrument is long, thin fingers. These are not long, thin fingers. These are short. They're not quite stumpy, but these are short, mediumly fat fingers. That the ideal would be fingers like mine, but each one about an inch longer. I'm being serious. Long, thin fingers, elegant fingers. You guys probably have not seen Eddie Van Halen's fingers or Steve Vai's fingers, but that's what the kind of fingers they have. And not short, stumpy fingers, really big, fat fingers, or short, kind of middle fingers like this. I'm just talking about the ideal. So if you can imagine on the guitar or bass, these instruments, you can reach further. Now also imagine the mandolin or the ukulele. With the frets are closer together, you're going to get everybody on the mandolin for sure, on the ukulele some. As you come up, you're going to get to a place where you're going like, oh my gosh, I can, literally, the frets they get to where they are a little more than an eighth of an inch, but I mean, that's tiny. I mean, you're like, really working hard to do that. The woodwinds are pretty much constructed. There's not a whole lot of like demand for a big old hand, so it's not as important on the woodwinds. On the brass, I can't think of any hand size that matters, because again, we're the dexterity is here and on these three fingers, and since the keys are right there, it kind of doesn't matter if you have this much on the tip. And some teachers will tell you need to have your fingers on the tip versus here. Some people play like that. A lot of people play like that. Anyway, doesn't matter as much. Let me think about, violin, the classical string family for sure would help to have these long, thin fingers, again, to reach. The piano. And now I want to make the comment about on the piano, what I want to say about this. Two things. One is a lot of guys, most women's fingers are just fine. But if you can imagine, there's a black key or there's a white key, and in the middle is a black key physically sticking up. It's not just like, and so there'll be, three black keys together. A lot of men cannot get their fingers in between those keys. those the black keys, and so for one thing is that can be prohibitive. That is when you put your finger down to play, let's say the A, the G sharp and the B flat go down also. That's not good. We don't want that. It is not work well. So what do? Well, you just get you a plane saw and you just take off some of that skin. No, I'm kidding. A lot of times, many men with thicker fingers, if you keep at it, keep working on it, you'll be able to put your fingers in there. Also, at the same point, if you can imagine, here's the black keys. Let's do this right. I mean, there's a keyboard right behind me. I should have set this up so you can see this picture. Anyway, that's pretty good. White keys, black keys, and I don't want you to do this. It's not the best thing, but you can, instead of putting your fingers up in the black keys, here's the black keys now. This is the key itself, so you're putting your fingers in those keys, which is where they should be most of the time. But instead, you'd come out some, and that may be necessary. But a lot of guys, after working with it for a length of time, get to where they can get between those without it. And I don't mean they're like, doing something weird, but they get in there and play that. So, point, long, thin fingers. What do you do? I'm just trying to string together a lengthy answer, which is, hey, the ideal is long, thin fingers. That's what somebody told me when I'm going to play the oboe when I'm 16. Hey, you need long, thin fingers. Like, well, I ain't got none of those. I mean, I maybe could glue something on the end, like those things you do postage stamps with to make them long. But if you'll notice, many people who do not have those kinds of fingers, for the various instruments that need them, maybe 2/3 need them, find great ways to make it work. And in a head-to-head contest between a guy with fingers like my fingers and fingers that, like I said, about an inch longer, everything being equal, that guy with the little longer fingers would be somewhat better, a little bit better, just because it's easier for you to reach different things. But I've worked for decades to spread my fingers out, for example, and you can do that too, of course. So anyway, a lot of workarounds, a lot of things that work fine. Now, there are some physical disadvantages. I wanted to mention this. This is what hand is this? This is my left hand. Now, I can do this. Look at that. I'm folding my little finger down. So, okay, and you see this hand. Now, most of you, I want you to try it too. This is my left hand. And I'm trying to fold, that's the word, fold this finger down. And I can do that. That just means that the tendons down here are separate enough that I can move these fingers independently. I don't have to move this finger to move that finger, even though that's what it wants to happen. On my right hand, though, I cannot. I'm only trying to move my little finger. I'm only trying to bring this little finger down with the muscles in my right hand. But if I do that, this fourth finger for piano talk, we're piano talking. So we're piano talking now. This is me trying to pull down this finger, but this finger comes. That means that these tendons are wrapped around each other, and this is a problem for my piano playing because I can't do it. For example, I could never do a trill with. You see, I'm trying to do one finger and then the other finger, but they're just kind of like no. So they want to work together. That does affect things like D's, D sharps, C's, C sharps on the flute, the oboe, the sax. That they're not independent. These fingers are independent. They don't care. Put them together. These fingers are independent, which is this finger coming up. But when I have these two, they don't. Now, what am I saying about that? It's possible to have we call them, what do you call them? Handicaps. There's a good word. That actually do affect your playing beyond just, it's a little harder. And most people don't have those things. But then the good news is, in general, people can work around almost every single one of those things, almost 98, 99%. Again, if I was to try to be a concert pianist, if that's what I said, these short fingers and this, I would never be able to do it. In terms of, when I say concert pianist, I don't mean good piano player. I mean like a concert pianist, like a concert classical musician, like Larry Carlton, which is not, what I'm saying is just like really hard stuff. Everybody's watching you. do it right, do it perfectly. These kind of people, these top 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 people in the world, I could not do that just because of these fingers. Even if I spent 6 hours a day, 10 hours a day on the piano, because of these fingers and these short fingers. Does that affect most people? Most great people? Most people who are famous and excellent and amazing? No. Just a very, very few tippity top people. I wouldn't even worry about most of these things unless you happen to notice them. And then you could be like, let me talk with somebody or figure out how to make these things work. Okay, so anyways, the size of my fingers affect my playing. Yes, it makes it a little easier if they're longer and thinner. Is it prohibitive, keeping you from being a great musician, as good a musician as you want to be? No. Okay, now the next question is, this is a great question. Okay, let's see. What do you call a 2-foot circle, 2-foot circle of $100 bills that you would use to decorate at Christmas time? It's a circle, and it's got $100 bills all the way around at Christmas time. What do you call that? You call it says here, Aretha Franklin. Aretha Franklin's. It's a 2-foot, and it's got $100 bills all around. It's Aretha Franklin's. Okay. Just thought I'd share that with you. Okay. All right. My next question is, did all the great musicians start when they were little kids? Did all the great musicians start when they were little kids? A huge number of them did. And by start, it doesn't mean that they came out of the box, ta-da, and they're playing, just world class. Everything is just incredible. But a huge number, Beethoven, I'm just picking names, Beethoven, Ravel, Debussy, there's no, where Bach was from, so many people in his family, I am talking about his immediate family, but also his cousins and uncles, and that in that area of Germany, what was to become Germany, to be a Bach was to be the name. We need some Bachs. Meant go get some. We need some musicians. So their name was synonymous with being a musician, which is amazing. So yes, I'm just saying Bach, and then Larry Carlton, Brad Paisley. I'm just picking names out. I'm just thinking of names, people that are really good musicians. And did they start early? Yes. Many of them really started early. I think that what most of them did, now some of them, like Brad Paisley, he was playing for money when he was like 13, 14. And hey, Jeffrey. Hey, man. How's it going? So, and I could go on and on. I'm just giving an example. So, but I think what we would see more than, if when you're 6 and you're 8 and you're 10, people are teaching you exactly what to do, or you care about what to do, and they're saying, I didn't do that right, and you're like, oh my gosh, and you're 10, and you're like, I gotta get that right. What I'm saying is, of course, you would respond and become a better musician than somebody who was, playing video games at that same period of time and never even thought about playing music. But the bigger point in musical progress is the musical influence or attention or exposure or awareness that somebody was thinking at a young age. It could be 5, but it could also be 15, when they went from, that's a cool song, or they went from whatever, I'm driving my car, and at first they go like, well, that's pretty cool. That song there is really, really cool, And then, they're just like that. That's some musical awareness. And then later on, that could be a year later, and it could have started when they were 15, or could have started when they were 6. They could have went from, that's really cool, I love that, to, I want to make that, or I'm in the band and now I'm making some of that. So what I'm getting at is that it's not my mom took me, 3 years out of the womb and, made me start playing the piano, or I started singing, "Mommy, I want to write symphonies," but rather, or more that for more people that they were listening to music and their parents or a friend or their big brother was putting on Beatles albums and changing songs and things were happening. Go, oh, that song is not like that song, you know. And so it's musical exposure, musical awareness, and just because I in half of the purpose of what I want to do is expand. You guys, everybody listening to the sound of my voice, you need to expand your exposure to music. And I've said, if you take lessons or you've listened to some of these, I've said you need to go to concerts, and you don't have to go to concerts anymore. You can go to YouTube, you know, and you can look up your favorite musicians and just you could watch an hour a week. And I'm not talking about going, yeah, these guys are cool, man. But you'd be like, hey, that was a cool lick, or that guy's really aggressive, or that was so lovely, so emotive, you know, that just made me cry or made me want to dance, you know. And what I'm getting at is, or how that person held their instrument, or how that person used articulations to make things cool, or how that person, you know, made two notes sound amazing, you know, like una nota samba. Da 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 da. Don Jobim, you know, being like, hey man, yeah, kind of anyway, it's a song called One Note Samba. It has two notes in it. So I think that's kind of disingenuous, don't you, Jobim? Huh? But anyway, but the point is so even, you know, just the guy's playing one note or two notes and you just go like, wow, he did that so well. How could I do that? Just that you become aware of these things. I'm telling you to challenge your own awareness, interest, in noticing things. So, a couple of things. Another thing about that is you can see, you got to imagine too, not just, you know, Mozart began playing the piano when he was 5. He wrote his first thing with something or other when he was, no, playing when he was 3, wrote his first something or other when he was 5. So, you know, don't look at it that way. Look at it like, you know, whatever, 350,000 people, you know, when they were 5, you know, had been exposed to music, and 500 of them out of the 350,000, 500 of them, you know, immediately began to build on that, you know. But the primary thing for many of these people is that the military idea of time on target or time over target. So the point is that those people were thinking about music, dealing with music, paying attention to music, failing at music, trying new things at music for a long time. For a long time. Somebody just said, here, take this guitar and play something. Rather, they were, for a long time, and let me tell you, having taught many hundreds, several hundreds, probably 2,000, or no, let's just say 1,000 kids. It's like, kids, great thing, another question we're not getting into today, but about the age you should start. One of the great things about starting as a kid is it is a time on target. You know, I'm going to be doing this for 10 years before I could even, you know, vote, you know. And then the second thing, though, is they are just clueless that they stink. And so, you know, it doesn't sound good, but they're just sort of unaware of it, you know, in the sense that, like, I put my hand here and I made this chord and I played this note, do, 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 do. And it doesn't matter that it's out of tune and it was a bad timing was incorrect and those kind of things, because their musical sense is not as developed. So anyway, did the great musicians start when they were little kids? Many of them did. Does that mean that you cannot be great? No, I don't think so. I think there's one instructive thing in there, in the sense of time on target. You know, that you don't need to look at it like, you know, I've been trying this I'm grown up, but told. I've been trying this for 6 months and it hasn't been working. And you're thinking, I'm not like Brad Paisley. Well, you know, like Tommy Emmanuel was like, okay, you know, you started playing when you're 5, you know, and Tommy Emmanuel wasn't terrible or anything when he was 15. But I'm saying, you know, he could have spent 10 years sounding terrible and woke up when he was 15 and said, hey, you know, I want to be good now. And he had 10 years, you know, of bad playing to pick up and then say, and in other words, he could have gotten 10 years of benefit of it. Tommy Emmanuel's awesome, and he didn't do anything like that. He did start early, and he did learn and played wonderfully as a very young man. So let's take a person. He comes in, starts very young. He's really piddling around, not trying hard, doesn't care. I've had several students like this. And then wake up, you know, at 12 or 17 and say, I really love this and I want to be great at this. And what I'm saying, he had a lot of time over the target before the person decides to be great. And so it's like you can, so the fact that they started young is not prohibitive to you because their time, 10 years on target, over the target, they didn't use it as 10 years. It was really more like a year or 2 years, whatever, in terms of product. And so don't be discouraged by that, people doing that kind of thing. So, and then another thing that they had, the people that are famous and awesome, that you can have is musical awareness, musical exposure. Listen to other people playing, because I've done bunches of people that are great and were great. It's more that their parents, or at least as much, that their parents are just playing cool music and would tell them stuff like, listen to the strings, you know. Listen to this, how powerful this. And it's like, whoa, and little kids going, yeah, that's really cool. I want some more peanut butter. Let's see. Okay, and I'm just commenting that kids a lot of times don't realize, A, that they're spending the time, and B, that they don't sound good. And you as an adult, if you're an adult or an older teen, you notice you have developed musical sense, and it's more like, oh my gosh, it sounds terrible. Whereas a kid, a younger person, say 10, 8, you sound better than them, but they're not even noticing it, and you're just bothering you, not bothering them. Okay, all right. Well, let's see. 3 things was the size of my hands. It was, and did all the great musicians start when they were little kids, and then what kind of guitar is best to learn to play on, and then of course the Aretha Franklin's. Yeah, okay, that's good stuff. So, all right, so again, this is Mark Teaches Music channel. This is our To Play and Sing live stream. I'm Mark Black. And if you're interested in lessons, go to www.dallasmusiclessons.com and poke around on there, and there's information about how to contact us about lessons, but of course there's information about what our lessons would be like. And I believe you can learn and be great, and we'll be here every Wednesday at what time is this? 7 o'clock. Was 7 o'clock. And as always, I want you to have a great week, and I want you to have fun, and I want you to be awesome. So see you later.